Thanks to TiEcon for having us here today. My name is Christopher Heiser. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Renovo. My background is started at Carnegie Mellon, studying engineering and working on robotics. Have worked in consumer electronics, products, and large software systems on mission-critical platforms. Renovo is a company that's focused on automated mobility on demand. That's what AMOD stands for. And in the short time we have, I know I'm standing between you and lunch, so we'll do this as quickly as we can. But the goal of my talk today is for you to walk out of here with a very clear distinction between autonomous driving and AMOD. They're not the same. One of them is a cool idea. The other one is what's going to change everything about transportation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what Renovo does briefly, we are a platform company. We merge self-driving software, analytics, and mission-critical systems to enable scale deployments of mobility on-demand services that are highly automated. I work with a team of professionals from some of the best companies on the planet, both from high-tech silicon software as well as automotive systems. Those are all necessary to bring these types of products to market. We're building a platform for AMOD. That means that we actually build things. So, as Jim and the guys were saying up here, controlling your own destiny, I think Quinn as well, that's important. And so by having a cross-functional team and being able to build full-scale prototypes under our own roof, we can make progress. But it also helps to have big partners. And so last week we announced a strategic investment from Verizon, which is very bullish on the AMOD market. We're going to be announcing more partnerships later this year. So it's a good time for us. Most of what we're doing right now is under wraps and secret, but we do have a few public programs that we work on. I wanted to share a brief video clip of one of those with you today. This is Marty. This is a partnership with Stanford University, one of the leading research houses in autonomous systems. And the purpose of Marty is to use high levels of automation to make cars safer. So Stanford's trying to control a car at the limit of traction, in this case, drifting. So this is a self-drifting car. Stanford uses our platform in this program. It's a fantastic crucible laboratory for us because we're making 5 to 10 times as many decisions per second than a normal autonomous car needs to do driving down, Mountain View at 30 miles an hour. So it allows us to develop what we do. So here's a brief clip of Marty doing some fully autonomous drifting a few months ago. I'm afraid don't have any audio. Is that? It sounds much better with the tires squealing, but anyway, you'll have to imagine. So again, Marty, fully autonomous and can do precision maneuvering. It's much more accurate at drifting than any human could be. Fortunately, we have great sponsors for the project, including Bridgestone, that supplies 500 sets of tires per year, which is good because the average lifespan of a tire on Marty is 90 seconds. So yeah, we change tires a lot. But again, the point of programs like this is for us to develop what we're doing and to push ourselves and to prepare ourselves for going into on-road testing where failure is simply not an option. So the three things I'd like to imbue in you today is that AMOD, Mobility on Demand, is the killer product. That's really what autonomy is going to do, is unlock AMOD as a service, and that will change transportation in the cities and energy. It's a lot closer than you think. It's actually closer than some other autonomous products that people talk about very publicly, and that unlike a lot of things you try and get people to do, things that you do driven by economics work best. And AMOD is actually driven strongly by economics. So I'll explain what I mean by that. So what AMOD is, you understand almost all of it already if you've ever taken an Uber or Lyft or any of the other companies there. It is a system where you hail a car and it takes you somewhere point to point and you don't drive it. These companies today don't really do any vehicle systems at all. They are a demand marketplace that has a large pool of independent contractors who own their own cars. When we talk about AMOD, that will be quite different. But at the highest level, all AMOD, the other point is that these services have been extremely successful with customers and extremely unsuccessful with investors. that these systems, these companies lose lots and lots of money today. But they are overtaking many other forms of transportation. So consumers love them, investors are mixed, and the entrepreneurs are trying to figure out how to make money. And frankly, I'm not sure they can make money, and they certainly won't make money the way that automated mobility will. So automated mobility on demand, AMOD, is you take this, you remove the human driving it, you add some sort of robotic system that does it, and that's what AMOD is. So mobility on demand is a great test for how AMOD will work in the future. So with AMOD, you will hail it with an app. It will come and pick you up and take you somewhere. You will not drive. Hopefully it will not crash. And in fact, you'll be able to focus on other things in the car. And so that's the idea of the system. So the economic piece of this is really, really clear. Today, you spend about $2 on a mobility on demand service. It's cheaper than a taxi, but it's still quite expensive. And to be clear, no one is making money at $2 a mile. So the actual cost of it is higher than this. If you live in a city where 75% of industrialized nations live, your cost of owning a car, this is a US number, so it varies globally, but cost of owning a car is about 80 cents a mile. And that includes the depreciation of the vehicle. This is a $30,000 car driving at about 15 to 20,000 kilometers a year. That's the insurance, the fuel, the depreciation, the parking, and things like that. In the suburbs, it's a little bit less, about 50 cents. But in a city, it's around 80 cents. When you look at where automated mobility on demand is going, that's going to be around 30 cents a mile. At that point, everything to the left becomes a stranded asset, meaning it is more expensive for you to use it ever again than it is for you to do anything else. So this is one of the main reasons why all car companies and everyone in the value chain are completely freaked out about automation. Now, let's look at a good candidate city here in the US. Austin, there's about 2 million people in the metropolitan area. They did some surveys, Rocky Mountain Institute did some surveys last year, and they asked, would you use fully automated services? And it was quite surprising how high the take rate was. 41% of people would use it on a regular basis, and 13% would use it exclusively. So this not just shows you the acceptance already of this as a product, but also its financial impact, that if you took that take rate, 41% sometimes and 13% all the time, and you did that in Austin, it's a $2.5 billion opportunity on an annualized basis. That's more than the net revenue that Uber made in 2015. If you extend that to 26 cities in the United States, that becomes a $120 billion a year opportunity by 2025. And if you look at where analysts are saying the global opportunity for this, and as the speaker said earlier, it will be uneven the way it rolls out globally, but globally it's more than $2 trillion. This is a massive opportunity. Now, you'll likely start in places where there aren't snow and there isn't bad weather, and they've highlighted Texas as an opportunity that by itself is $15 billion a year by 2025. But again, I want to point out, you're not converting even a large fraction of the vehicle miles traveled. You're basically doing a small subset of those, and even at that rate, oh, by the way, I neglected to point out on the previous slide, which this is not going back now. Anyway, the Austin data was at $1 a mile. People would be willing to use the service at more expensive than the cars that they used. The service is more convenient, it's easier, particularly in a city, parking your car is usually not next to your house, and it's quite challenging. So this is a really great opportunity. So am I not just talking about autonomous driving? Are Elon and I talking about the same things? No, we are not. Autonomous driving and AMOD are not the same thing. When we talk about autonomous driving, what people instinctively think about is a car that you own and you press a button and then you can kick back and relax or work or sleep or something else like that. There are some challenges with this. This chart, which is freely available on the internet, this talks about the 6 levels of automated driving. The point you should see here is that there's only one level of driving that actually allows you to not have a steering wheel, that actually has you not engaged with the car ever, and that's level 5. The idea that your vehicle is going to be a level 5 vehicle today requires you to do a lot more work in a car that you own. It requires you to have controls, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, but it's a much more complicated thing to make a level 5 autonomous vehicle that you own that you transition back and forth between level 5 and not level 5 than a purpose-built vehicle that only operates at level 5. Now, AMOD is easier than personal car automation for this reason. There are some other reasons why AMOD is easier. If you have to drive all of the roads in the entire city or state, it is a massive problem. And the quality and the condition and the maintenance and even the design of those roads varies wildly. When you contain this into a city, where most people are, the area goes down, the number of roads you have to go goes down, the quality of those roads go up, the integration level to the security and the emergency services are there. There are high-quality data systems in these areas, and most critically, the cars you're driving in this are mapping the city as it's going. So whatever HD map you had at 9 a.m. has gotten better at 10 and better at 11 and better at 12 because the cars are mapping. This is a orders of magnitude easier problem to solve. I think it's a misnomer to think driving in the city is hard. It's harder than driving in the country for humans, but it's actually much, much, much easier for robots because of the infrastructure and the smaller area that has to be mapped. The number of use cases will go way, way down. I chuckle when I hear people talking about solving autonomy. Autonomy is a really big space. And the idea that someone that understands how to drive in Mountain View is going to get snowstorms in Sweden, or downpours in Singapore, or cows in the road in Mumbai, or a massive sandstorm in Cairo, that's not conceivable. But if you take one of these, you can solve it. And particularly if you start in Mountain View or in Arizona or other places, it's actually a tractable problem. So reduced use cases helps AMOD. AMOD's going to be a fleet-managed thing. Fleets always will find the lowest cost for managing devices. The idea that I'm going to be good at maintaining my own car, cleaning messes out of the back of it, making sure the tires are inflated, fixing it when it's broken, we don't believe that this model is sustainable at scale. It might be some transitional model, but it'll very quickly give way to fleet management. Maintenance, logistics, balancing cars to where they need to go. This is what fleets do really well today. I've pictured cars, but you've got trucks, airplanes, shipping. There's fantastic examples the world over of how fleets always win at scale in these spaces. And they're going to have buying power. They can do things a lot more efficiently at scale than individuals. Even if you have some sort of network behind it, the fleets will win. So AMOD will be a fleet business. It will be EV, not because you have to convince anyone to do it, but because it's actually the cheapest way to do it. EVs today, the premium you pay for a car does not offset the savings in energy because you don't drive enough miles. But if you drive a lot of miles, that changes. And even if you drive around 120,000 kilometers a year, the savings in energy offsets the increase in capital and infrastructure necessary to fuel it. It actually more than offsets it. It makes you money. Some models have AMODs in large cities driving 200 or 250,000 kilometers per year. This just gets better and better and better. Now, I hope Mark is right and we'll get to $50 cells. That will just make this an even better business case. But you don't have to subsidize it. You don't have to convince people. You don't have to shame them into buying an EV. They will just be EV because it's the smart business thing to do. And that's very exciting for me because I'd love to see more EVs out there. And so we don't have to swim uphill anymore. The vehicles will be cheaper. Why? Because when you are only at level 5, you don't have to have all this stuff. This stuff is hard to build. There's an actual explosive device that's embedded into the steering wheel to try and not kill you. That's really kind of crazy. All this goes away. All the gauges that you have to certify to ASIL B so that they don't shut off, all of the controls, all of it goes away. This car will be a lot cheaper. And in its place, you can either put nothing, this is the inside, well, mostly nothing, which is the inside of the Koala car, the Google car, or like our friends at Rolls-Royce, maybe something a little bit more luxurious and interesting. And as the panel mentioned earlier, this is a huge revenue opportunity, that the experience inside of this will be great, and whether you use it to enable revenue or subsidize the cost, it doesn't matter. This opens up a huge possibility where this can just be a TV and it doesn't have to be an explosive inflating device to save your life. So the cars will be cheaper. You will optimize the vehicle design. I like to pick on Volkswagen. I think The Verge called this an angry toaster. I think people are just starting to get, they've been building the same sedan for 50 years, so yeah, they're going to get there. But the point is, these cars will be built around the mission of AMOD, and that will also allow you to further optimize. And whether it be movable workplaces like my friends at IDEO have proposed, or any other type of vehicle, this will lead to efficiencies. And an important point is that today in mobility on demand, the average number of human beings, passengers in a car, is just slightly larger than one. So if you think about that, the Toyota Prius is a really, really oversized vehicle for the AMOD case. And that also means the vehicles built for AMOD will likely carry fewer people, lower drag, lower weight, lower resistance, lower energy use, lower total cost. We're going to get to better than 30 cents when we truly optimize AMOD around this mode of transportation. Cities are going to benefit. This is an aerial view of Denver, has the biggest increase in housing costs since the 2008 financial crisis. The highlighted areas are parking. This will mostly go away. That most of the things that come into the city stay there, don't move, and then leave. The AMOD systems will be far more efficient. You'll be able to reclaim this, use it for buildings, use it for whatever you want. Denver's not unique. This is an issue with a lot of cities that were designed and built in the last century. There's a tremendous amount of infrastructure. To say nothing of congestion management and pollution and other things that will get better with electrified AMOD vehicles. All of the benefits that you get from automating the cars you own, you get with automating AMOD. The biggest one being get people out from behind wheels because we suck at driving. And we're just really bad at it. So robots are already much better. They will continue to get better. So you get this advantage, but you also get some other advantages. When you have fleets managing cars, you're going to be able to do more things in terms of orchestrating how these things move in and off of roads. You're going to be able to make it more comfortable, more energy efficient. You'll be able to use the space on the road more efficiently as well. Again, this is why AMOD will ultimately win out over some sort of hybridized or ownership model. This is the lowest cost, it's the highest efficiency. So, back to this point. Everyone's targeting 30 cents a mile, but as we showed before, you don't have to get to 30 cents a mile to have a business. At $1 a mile, there are significant takers and multi-billion-dollar businesses in each city that you launch in. That's why people are testing. That's why people are doing trials today, working with companies like us and others to get vehicles on the road, but show a path to production. Some trials go well. Autonomy's in Singapore, Cruise in San Francisco. Not all of them go well. This is not a solved problem, and I hope that you don't take this to mean that we're going to roll out AMOD tomorrow with millions of cars. There's still important engineering work to be done. But Waymo's trial in Phoenix is really important. You talk to someone at Daimler and they say they're 10 to 20 years from doing a fully automated vehicle that can drive where every Daimler would want to drive. This year we will have AMOD in an American city that you can hail with an app, pay, and drive. This year. And if this is a successful trial, you will see the most remarkable fast growth scenario in AMOD you could possibly imagine. Every single OE, every tier one, every technology company will be pushing to build their own trials because this is the path to 30 cents. It's not through a super sedan that costs $120,000 or even a $50,000 competitor for a 3 Series BMW. It is a fully automated vehicle that's used as a service. That is the killer app. If you think about fast growth, Austin's cool with 2 million people. Shanghai's got a much bigger problem. If you win in Shanghai, that is an absolutely monstrous opportunity. And they have more critical issues. They have smog that chokes the city. They have huge issues with congestion. So there are lots of cities globally that are going to push for this. There are lighthouse cities today like Singapore and Dubai, here in the Bay Area, but the big cities are not far behind. So when we look at other industries that have flipped over, that have had this inflection point, it's been when the complexity changes and you need horizontal scalability. We've seen it over and over again here in the Silicon Valley with core computing, with mobility. The car is happening now, and there's lots of companies that are making this possible. Renovo, we're working to develop these systems with our partners and to bring it to scale. It is the future. It's a lot closer than you think. I encourage you to watch the news carefully, watch these trials, watch how fast people become accustomed to these. I live in Mauna Loma, where Google X's headquarters, Waymo now, and I've seen how people from 8 to 88 have fallen in love with these vehicles almost overnight. It's remarkable how quickly people will accept this as a mode of transportation. And if that's true, it takes an OE 6 years to produce every single car. In 6 years, that's where Uber went from 0 to where it is today. How quickly is this going to overtake things, and what new players, other than the existing OEs, are going to step up to make this innovation happen faster? You're going to see massive investments and massive changes in the whole value chain, and that's why, as a Silicon Valley company, it's so exciting for us, because we have an opportunity to play in that space. So I think we're out of time. So thank you very much for having us today.